So hello everybody, my name is Paul and I've been making a lot of videos over the years about different controversial subjects, and I decided to make a series about esoteric teachings as they relate to modern discoveries and human potential. And one of the things I've done over the years, I've practiced meditation for a really long time, very deep meditation at times, and I've read all kinds of books and interviewed people and talked to lots of people who practice meditation. And I have my own personal understanding of how things work. A lot of my own questions have been answered. So I thought what I'd do is I'd try to share what I know and put my 2 cents out there, because ultimately how we determine something is real or true or not, it has to rest in an inner understanding. Nobody can just come up to us and tell us, okay, believe this, because we don't want to just believe. We want to know. We want to know something deep inside. But that takes some inner courage to research, to go deep, to try to understand what other people have experienced and taught about these subjects. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about a preliminary overall broad picture kind of thing. For one thing, they always say just know yourself. That's the main thing. Try to know who we are, because we have this life. Why not? Try to know who we are. What is it about us? Do we just want to entertain ourselves all our life and just go, not even ask some important questions? And ancient wise people, so-called wise people, the sages of the past, has all said just know yourself. And I just wrote here one really basic thing, a few really basic concepts I'm going to explore in this video here. The number one, anyone watching this, you are far more amazing than you think. To be a human being is actually supernatural. I mean, you have to try to grasp this equipment that we have. We think we have this like a scooter. Someone gives you a key and you think it's a scooter. No, it's a 747. This human body, this human life, sages have said for centuries and centuries and thousands of years that, look, every human being, look at yourself. I don't care who you are, PhD, poor person, uneducated person, you have a lot more potential than you realize. Completely. And the way to answer a lot of our own questions has to do with just developing our own perceptions, using some of that potential that we have to perceive. And I want to read you a quote here from one of the great books. This is The Light of the Soul, the teachings of a man named Patanjali. It's a whole manual, incredibly written manual about how the human awareness works and what can be done. And it's just extraordinary. I've had this thing for a long time. I read so much in it here, and I'll read you this one quote. It says, perfectly concentrated meditation upon the awakened light will produce the consciousness of that which is subtle, hidden, or remote. Now you start to think about this. This was written a long, long time ago and passed down for thousands of years, and there have been practitioners, such as this man here, just one, Sri Yukteswar, just one of many, many people who have practiced these techniques for thousands of years, and they're basically saying, look, you as a human being have incredible potential because the vehicle that we have has facility built in that is a kind of a combination of infinite consciousness and immortality and the immortal energy and the opportunity to have a vehicle. And what happens is we get born and we start developing a personality, and sometimes we're just like our parents want to impose a personality or behavior on us or our society, and we don't ask the simple question, well, who are we? We're born here, we have this incredible potential. We're not sheep or lions, we're not like crows, we're like swans, we're not a scooter, we're a Ferrari, there's something about this human potential, every single human being. And there have been so many instances throughout history. There's all kinds of geniuses, all kinds of prodigies, all kinds of great teachers and masters of all different kinds. Just human beings who did something in their life. They're just naturally super. That's what being a human being is. That's the main thing I'm trying to say here. And Okay, so we have an awareness in our being that can understand and link to something infinite. And the inner space that we have, there's literally more space in our own physical body than there is material. A lot of material is water. So there is, and space is not empty. This is one of the ancient teachings. Why did they say that? Well, that's complicated. You have to, we'll explore that in other videos. Consciousness is vast. It pervades space. Just like when you look out over a field, you can scan a whole field, and your consciousness, you're aware of a huge area, but how can you define that consciousness? How can you measure it? You're seeing, let's say, 180 degrees in front of you, or if you're up in the sky, you can see for miles and miles, and your consciousness is just there, seeing it all, pervading it all. How can you define what that consciousness is? There's something that recognizes we have the tools, we have these physical features, our eyes, our ears, which, by the way, are limited to their frequencies. But there's also mechanisms within the human body to vibrate, like the inner ear is just an amazing thing. I heard it said, for example, that the width of a human, the atom of a hydrogen, the little hairs inside your inner ear can sense the movement so subtle. So we are super beings. We have equipment that's totally amazing. Now, we'll get into this space is not empty here in other videos. All that really exists is energy, fluidity. Things change. Everything's in motion. Everything is constantly changing. Our body is changing. Everything is, and there's geometrical relationships in how things move. There's different patterns and distributions. And all this, there's sacred geometry, the way things move in this harmonious, amazing system. And we take it for granted. But the exploration of the ancient mysteries goes from the basic, the simple, to start with the numbers, the 0, the 1, the 2, just start with the really, really basic stuff. Because as above, so below, there's a pattern that happens from the microcosm to the macrocosm. And there's involution and evolution and the way systems work. Now, I only have a few minutes here to talk about this. But I'm going to explore this because, first of all, keep in mind from the very beginning, you have more perceptive ability than you think. Because in addition to your physical senses, there are inner mechanisms in your brain, the pineal gland, and the hairs, even the hairs on your body, are very sensitive. We don't think about it that much. People who've trained their body. I mean, the ancients who went up in the caves and the mountains, wherever around the world they did this, they practiced. This was their entertainment. They didn't have TV. Imagine if you didn't watch so much TV and you didn't have to work so much every day, and you could spend your whole day just exploring consciousness. And then you would talk with other people, and that was your life. For whatever life you had, your whole life was exploring consciousness. You can't really measure it. Because I know when I meditate, I always have an experience. That's repeatable. It's guaranteed. It's a science. I know I can experience something, but how do I measure it? How do you measure the space of a person's consciousness? Because we can't even measure your own consciousness. So the ancient people, the sages, would say, look, know yourself, your own consciousness. Who is it that's thinking? Who is it that's doing everything? What is it? Because there's a link within your own inner space between the eyes, because when you close all your senses, you still are conscious. And there are people who train themselves to leave their body at night or remain conscious through the night. That's what they did. That was their practice. People who would go to sleep at night and just have visions and just explore and amazing stuff. So Again, this is an intro video. I'm going to be giving a lot more segments. I have a segment about the aura and all kinds of stuff, energy fields and a number. And I'm just basically a launching pad. I'm not trying to say I'm an expert at anything. I'm just saying explore these things, get your own data, practice meditation, learn what other people have taught. Explore. It's fascinating because, like I said, the keys that you have, the human body, the keys that you have for this life, it's not a scooter. It's more like a UFO, really. So that's what I have to say for now, and I'm going to explore this in a lot more detail. But I appreciate the feedback. This is YouTube. This is what we got. That's what I'm using. So here we are. You know, this kind of a system could work. So thanks again for watching.